What's going on, Who That Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. On this edition of the State of the Saints podcast, we're going to be talking about wide receiver Jarvis Landry. And will it be a smart move if the Saints were to sign the, the wide receiver? And we're also going to be talking about the Saints running back situation and who would be a good fit to go alongside Mark Ingram in the backfield, just in case something was to happen with Alvin Kamara. But thank you so much for all those that are filing into the chat, making the State of the Saints podcast a part of your day. Hope everybody's having a good day so far. It's a beautiful day out here in Myrtle Beach, man. The sun is shining, birds are chirping, and I'm ready to talk about the New Orleans Saints. I'm pretty sure everybody knows by now that wide receiver Jarvis Landry is a free agent. He's been a free agent for a few months now. Of course, him getting his release from the Cleveland Browns, and there are also some talks about him possibly going back to the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns, alongside the New Orleans Saints and a few other teams, Jarvis Landry had interest in. We now know as of today that the Cleveland Browns and Jarvis Landry have shut the doors on negotiations. According to sources, the Cleveland Browns were offering Jarvis Landry a one-year contract. Jarvis Landry felt like he should get at least a 2-year contract, so both parties could not come up with a mutual agreement. So therefore, he is still on the market. Now, Jarvis Landry is 29 years old. He doesn't turn 30 until November. He doesn't turn 30. So everybody knows he's from Louisiana. He went to Lutcher High School. He was really good at LSU, right alongside Odell Beckham Jr. We know about that tandem and how great they were in college football. He went to the Miami Dolphins, had a really good stellar career there, caught a lot of passes and did a lot of good things before he got the big-time contract in Cleveland. And there were some issues there, the chemistry between Baker Mayfield, Odell Beckham Jr., and all the other receivers. And not to mention, he had some injuries along the way. But Jarvis Landry is a guy that a lot of members of the Who Dat Nation have been talking about. We love ourselves some Jarvis Landry. I think it has a lot to do with the fact of, him going to LSU and us watching him grow, him being in Louisiana, people from Louisiana watching this guy in high school, and also help LSU reach the national championship during the time he was there. And doing really big things out there. But here's the realization of it, okay? The more Jarvis Landry is out there on the street, easier it possibly could be for the New Orleans Saints to acquire him. It's not that Jarvis Landry is still out there. That doesn't concern me. The main issue is the injuries. And I think the injuries combined with his age, I think some teams may be looking the other way. And I think also the skill set of Jarvis Landry. Yes, Jarvis Landry is a sure-handed wide receiver, but he doesn't give you that dynamic aspect of the wide receiver position that a lot of these teams are looking for. They're not going to throw a lot of money at Jarvis Landry because Jarvis Landry isn't that receiver that everybody looks out for. My question that I had at the top was, should the Saints go after Jarvis Landry? It would be nice, but I would have to say no at this point. I look at what the Saints have done in the NFL draft, acquiring Chris Olave. I look at the fact that Michael Thomas is coming back, and I think those two are going to be a good 1-2 punch. And not to mention that you have some guys that are growing up in the Saints offense. I think a lot of people like Jarvis Landry when it comes to being Saints fans is because he went to LSU. People are running and trying to clamor and chomping at the bit and saying the Saints need to get him. The Saints don't need Jarvis Landry. Jarvis Landry, to me, is basically another Michael Thomas. I've said this on several occasions. I said this months ago. Jarvis Landry is just like Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry are one and the same. And to be quite honest with you, at this stage and the production, basically his production over the last couple of years has been identical with that of a Traquan Smith. I mean, I'm not saying that he's like Traquan Smith, but their production pretty much been identical. And what I feel Jarvis Landry is going to be offering the Saints, Traquan can do the same thing. Because let's break this down, folks. Is Jarvis Landry going to be the number one receiver? No. Is Jarvis Landry going to be the number two receiver? No. Jarvis Landry is probably going to be a number three or a guy that's going to get very few touches. You know, he's not going to have a lot of plays called for him. So I just think that the same production that you're expecting out of a Traquan Smith, the same production that you're, trying to get, out of a Marquez Callaway or Deontay Harris or Hardy, you're going to get from Jarvis Landry. So I just think that it's the nostalgia thing. And I get it, right? The Saints signed Tyrann Mathieu. Now we feel like the floodgates are open, and now everybody wants to get every LSU player they can get their hands on. We want to go after Beckham. We wanted Mathieu. We wanted Jarvis Landry. We want Quan Alexander. I don't know. Some people probably want Andrew Whitworth or something like that to come out of retirement. Look, I like LSU as much as the next man, but I don't feel like we just need to have an overflow of LSU players. I just think that that's the nostalgia and us just, so excited about Tyrann Mathieu, arguably the best LSU Tiger of all time, signing with the New Orleans Saints. But the Saints do not need Jarvis Landry. They do not. It would be nice to have him. And him being out there on the street, it would probably be easier for the Saints to acquire him contractual, contract-wise. But I'm not a fan. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a fan of them signing Jarvis Landry. I just think that it would just be for nostalgia purposes. He's not to me, he's not going to give you a whole bunch of production. He's not. And you're probably going to have to count on somebody possibly getting hurt in order for him to really step up and do some stuff. But I have confidence in some of these younger guys. I have confidence in a guy. It depends on how long, one of these one or two receivers go down, that a guy like Callaway, a guy like Harris can step up in their place for a couple of weeks and give you that type of production. The Saints don't need Jarvis Landry. I mean, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But let me go ahead and read some of your comments, and we'll go from there. Let's see. Are we going to see you tomorrow night, TJ, for the schedule release, sir, if you don't mind me asking? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'll do a show tomorrow night, focusing on the schedule. So I'll be here. I think we need to move on from Jarvis. I agree. We love ourselves. Let me take these headphones off. They're not necessary. But anyway, it's not necessary. It's not necessary for us to get Jarvis Landry. Jarvis Landry to me is, another linebacker, an extra offensive line, hell, a running back. I mean, Jarvis Landry isn't necessary for the New Orleans Saints. I mean, that's just the way that I feel about it. Jarvis Landry equals short of Michael Thomas. Giving a shout out to Chemo. Y'all hit the like button, says Mr. Long. Appreciate that, man. Dana says, I want us to go after running back Saquon Barkley. Well, that would be a plus. And I mentioned that before, Dana, that Saquon Barkley would be a great addition to the New Orleans Saints. And we'll talk about that in a minute, as I talk about running backs and emergency situations, when we talk about Alvin Kamara in just a second. So I answer your question, Dana, in a few minutes. They both play the same position, X wide receiver. Let's see. Now I move on from Landry. Strolling down. I thought it over. Makes no sense to sign Landry. Now, look, if the New Orleans Saints didn't acquire Chris Olave, then I would say, man, maybe you need to go after Jarvis Landry. If they didn't address the wide receiver position like they did, in the draft, then I'll say go after Jarvis Landry. It's not necessary. The Saints right now, they have a 1 and a 2, and you also have some of these other guys like Callaway. This guy's had like number one receiver attention from cornerbacks all last season. And as the season went on towards the end, he started to kind of come on. Then you also have guys like Traquan Smith. Say what you want to say about him, but if he's at the bottom of the depth chart, would anybody care if he's productive or not? And he's a very solid blocker, and he can catch some passes if, the ball is thrown his way. He's pretty solid when it comes to like red zone situations. And also Harris, a guy that could take the top off the defense alongside a guy like Olave. So it's not like the Saints just necessarily need him. This isn't like in the middle of the season when Michael Thomas was out for the rest of the season and the Saints had to keep on signing guys over and over again. This isn't like that, right? So I just think, once again, people are thinking with their hearts and not their heads when it comes to Jarvis Landry, in my opinion. I just think that it's just the whole thought about him being in a Saints uniform, being from Louisiana, and him going to LSU. I mean, this isn't my first rodeo. I know how much Saints fans love LSU players. And anytime they're on the street, no matter what the situation is, they expect for the New Orleans Saints to consider those guys. Me personally, I feel like it would be a waste of time. I want Jarvis Landry to be on somebody's team. I would like Jarvis Landry to continue his career, but it's not necessary for the New Orleans Saints. They got bigger fish to fry. I mean, would you put a running back over, signing Jarvis Landry? I think you would. Would you put linebacker, a possible, depth to linebacker? Would you put that over Jarvis Landry? You probably would. More help on the offensive line? Pretty sure you would. I mean, there are more things that you need to worry about than signing Jarvis Landry. Alpha Sports says sign Jarvis and put him in a slot on a cheap 1-year deal. Well, I mean, look, you got other guys that can work inside the slot. I mean, to me, I think that Callaway can be a good slot guy. I mean, he was good finding soft spots in the zone his rookie season when Michael Thomas was there for a good period of time. I mean, he was good finding those soft spots. So that can be something that you can explore. Look, I don't like Callaway as a 1. I don't like him as a 2, but a 3 or a 4, I think that he can really do some damage and he can help this team. So you find yourself a younger guy who's been with this team longer, who is going into his 3rd season in the Saints offense. I would take that over a guy that's just coming off the street. We need another running back. I agree with that. Running back is a need. What's going on? Who that nation? What's going on? Adam Hooded Jude says, I would sign Jarvis for a security blanket because you don't know how Mike T is going to be coming back from injury and if he will get hurt again. Plus, chains will be moving because you can't stop Mike, Olave, or Jarvis. Look, I just think that at this stage, of Jarvis Landry's career, he's not going to give you better production than Callaway or Hardy. And it may sound crazy to say because we're talking about Jarvis Landry, but I trust guys that have been in, like, Hardy has been in this offense for 4 years. Callaway has been in this offense for 3 years. This will be his 3rd year in this offense. He's familiar with the offense. The chemistry between he and Jameis, is really good. They worked out in the offseason last year. They worked out in the offseason this year. You know what I'm saying? So I think that you have that type of production, not to mention Traquan, you're going into his 5th year. Look, and people might say, oh, man, none of those guys are worth the price of admission, but we're not talking about from a 1 or a 2 standpoint. Chris Olave is the guy that you appointed as your number 2. So guess what? If Michael Thomas was to go down, that's the guy that's supposed to get the majority of the snaps, right? That is the guy that you're supposed to be looked upon. But it's going to take him some time in order for him to develop. But you have some guys that are familiar with the system. And I, for one, believe that the production from the wide receiver position went down when Jameis went down. Because if you notice, you seen Deontay Hardy catching passes deep down the field. You seen Callaway catching passes down the field. You seen Traquan, trying to do a little something because Jameis was really on that boy. And you also had guys like Juwan Johnson catching passes. So I do think that the quarterback position can help these guys. How is it that we can say on one hand, the production went down because Jameis was there, and act as if, Jameis can't help the production go up when he is there? I just think that we're looking at these guys a little bit differently because throughout the entire season, we've seen these guys not show up in the 3rd and 4th quarter. But I think it had a lot to do with those quarterbacks not bringing that out of those guys. You know, Jameis was willing to push these guys and help these guys get to where they need to be. And I just think that with his leadership and him, holding these guys accountable can be helpful. And not to mention, Michael Thomas will be able to come back and Chris Olave will be there. So I don't think that, it's necessary for you to go out here and be signing a guy that most likely would be your number 3 receiver, because you already have guys that's capable of having that role. Let's see. Would you rather have Odell Beckham Jr., TJ? No, I would not. Okay. I like Odell. I think that he did a really good job with Los Angeles. But no, I would not. I think that you're okay with what you have right now. You got a good number 1. You got a good solid number 2 that has the capability of being a number 1. I think that you should be fine. I don't think that you just need to go out here and just, do all these unnecessary things, TJ, what's happening? With Sony going to Miami, what option do you have to supplement for AK? Also, TJ, I think we have what we need in-house for a slot guy. Yeah, I agree too. You got a lot of big body receivers. You got Lil Jordan Humphreys, right? Another big body receiver nobody really talks about. I mean, even a guy like Quan Baker, we don't know what this guy can be. This guy spent his entire season last year on the practice squad. The Saints did not let him go. They did not let him go. They didn't try to put him on the field. I mean, there's some guys out here. We got to see what they can actually do and see if they actually improved. And if they have not, then I'm pretty sure the Saints are going to do what they need to do in order to fix that position. But I just think that a lot of us are looking at what happened last year, but we're not taking into account that Jameis was gone. Jameis was hurt. And those guys were playing better at receiver when he was there. I'm going to get to the running back question in just a minute. I want to thank Hoodie Jew once again. He says, to be honest, TJ, I think Jarvis could produce in a lot in our offense, especially not having to be the guy and having James Winston at quarterback and Tannehill and Baker as his quarterback number 1. Yeah, I mean, look, I think that he will produce, but I don't think he's necessary. Look, I don't even think we'll be having this conversation if his name wasn't Jarvis Landry. I mean, that's just me. Everybody loves Jarvis Landry because, like I said, he's a LSU guy. I don't think that he's just so necessary. It's not like, to me, it's not like how it was when Tom Brady went to Tampa or something like that, or Matthew Stafford going to the Rams or something. I don't think that his presence is just going to be that one thing to put the Saints over the top. Like, I mean, he'll probably catch a third down pass to move the chains a couple of times. But I do think that you have some guys that are capable of having that role. I just think that Jarvis Landry, if the Saints were to get him, I'll be happy, but it's just not necessary. Like, would you say, like, do you feel like at this stage and at this time in, I guess the off season, I mean, would Jarvis Landry like completely change your thoughts about the Saints possibly making the Super Bowl or making the playoffs? No, I think the Saints will be a playoff team without him. I think the Saints have the capability, if all the cards are and all the stars are aligned, I think that they have a possibility to make the Super Bowl without him. I don't think that he makes nor breaks the New Orleans Saints, if that makes sense. Now, he'll be great to play for him. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure he'll be a good solid receiver, but they don't need him. They don't need him. I think that you have guys on the team that can give you exactly what Jarvis would give you, at this stage of his career. TJ, I think I already read that one. All right, but let's go ahead and go to the running back situation. Now, as you all know, that the Saints were interested in running back Sony Michel. Sony Michel was a part of that Super Bowl championship team in Los Angeles this past season with the Rams. He came to the Rams via trade towards the beginning of preseason or the beginning of the season when Cam Akers went down for the Rams. He stepped up. He led the team in rushing, for the most part. and he was pretty solid, man. He ended up signing with the Miami Dolphins, which a lot of people in Who Dat Nation were really bummed about that. So they're asking a question, who can be a backup in case something happens to Alvin Kamara? We all know that case is still looming. What happened during the Pro Bowl weekend? Alvin Kamara, along with some members of his entourage, stomped out a guy by the elevator inside of a hotel. So that case is pending. I think they're supposed to go and go to court in August. So that's going to be like towards the beginning of the season during preseason. So we don't know exactly what's going to happen. We don't know the status. We don't know what going to happen with Alvin Kamara when it comes to suspension. Don't know how long he's going to be out if that's the case. So you're going to have somebody in there that can possibly be able to take over until Alvin Kamara gets back if he faces suspension. And there are a lot of names that are out there right now. There are some guys that the Saints have gotten. Abram Smith, the running back out of Baylor, big physical guy, right? Bill, a bit of a battering ram. They got a couple other guys, Tony Jones Jr., they got Dwayne Washington. Tony Jones Jr. showed a lot of promise in preseason last year, only to get hurt. I mean, he played so good in preseason, the Saints thought that Latavius Murray was expendable. Tony Jones comes in, didn't give you that type of production, ends up getting hurt. But some people are probably looking at free agency and looking at some guys out there that can possibly replace Alvin Kamara if he was to go down. So who are those guys? There is a few guys that I look at that would be good. My number one choice would be Tariq Cohen. Tariq Cohen played for the Chicago Bears coming out of North Carolina A&T. He was a guy that could catch the ball out of the backfield running between the tackles, but he did have that knee injury. He was out for the season. He's a really small guy, kind of reminds me of that Darren Sproles type, right? That kind of short, stocky type guy. But he's a guy that got a little wiggle. Now, I have not seen what he can do since, he's been injured. But I do see a guy that can catch the ball out of the backfield and run in between the tackles and give you that good complementary with a veteran, Mark Ingram. That would be my first choice. My second choice would be Darrell Williams, a former LSU Tiger, which I'm pretty sure a lot of people would be excited about. The running back out of LSU, played for the Kansas City Chiefs. He was a guy that ran in between the tackles. We know what he did against the San Francisco 49ers in that Super Bowl. Missed last season, due to the COVID situation, dealing with what was going on with his mom. The guy was really, really good, really solid. He's young, he's physical. I feel like he can get the job done, and he's a guy that can catch the ball out of the backfield as well. We know he can do that. Playing for the Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes likes to throw the ball all around, so you had to be a running back that can catch the ball out of the backfield. So that would be my second choice. And my third choice would be a little bit of a dark horse. Know a lot of people don't really care for him that much. Not really popular opinion, but I have to say Le'Veon Bell would be my third. Le'Veon Bell, who is 30 years old, a guy who has had some really good years in the National Football League, a very patient runner, a guy that can catch the ball out of the backfield, a guy that can run in between the tackles. And if he stays motivated, I think that he can be, pretty good for a couple weeks until Alvin Kamara gets back. If Le'Veon Bell becomes the Le'Veon Bell that we know he can be, he can be a special guy. I think that Le'Veon Bell gets in his own way. He's so focused on so many other things outside and unnecessary stuff. But that's why I call him my dark horse, because if you can get him motivated, I think that he can give you production, enough production until Alvin Kamara gets back. I didn't say for a whole season. I didn't say, he was going to carry a team for the remainder of the season. I said for a few games that Alvin Kamara is out. Those are my three guys. I feel like would be a good fit for the New Orleans Saints. I know there's other guys out there like Phillip Lindsay. I think that he can be solid, but to me, Phillip Lindsay is more of that. Yeah, I don't know, man. He's not really a catch the ball out of backfield type guy, even though he can. He's just a guy that has a lot of heart. He's a guy that has a lot of heart. I think he'll fit in well with the Saints. I think that he'll become a fan favorite because of his toughness. I don't understand why this guy can't keep a job. I mean, he did a really good job in Denver. He did a really good job in Houston. I don't understand why. Some guys, they just don't want to make the bride. They always want to make them the bridesmaid. But those are three guys that I think would be a good fit for the New Orleans Saints. But let me go ahead and read some of these comments. All that stuff is from when he was going. He's washed now. I don't know who we talking about, me and Wash. Tony Jones will be better and smarter. Look, I don't know what Tony Jones is going to be. All I know is Tony Jones is injury prone. I mean, I don't care how good you are. I don't care how talented you are. There was some talented running backs, for the New Orleans Saints. I can think of a couple guys, when they were on the field. I mean, you love to see them on the field. Guys like Kyrie Robinson, right? I'm saying? He was really good, but he was always seems to get hurt. You had other guys out there, saying, that the Saints have had over the course of time. Tim Hightower. But these guys always never seem to stay healthy. They were always hurt. They were always in the injury room, getting rehab. Chris Ivory is another guy. There's always been good running back for the New Orleans Saints that if they were on the field, they can be extremely productive, but they couldn't stay on the field. And I just think that Tony Jones is going to fall into that category. Guys that have a lot of potential, but potential only can get you so far. And if you can't make the field, your potential is not going to get you anywhere. The answer is yes. Let the hate of the media keep going. Saints will win the South. Cohen is small but good. Concern is that it's hard throwing to 6'2", 6'2" to 6'4" guys and then try to throw to a 5'5" guy. I don't think it's hard at all. Not in my opinion. Look, if you got it, you got it. And if you don't, you don't. And once again, this isn't like we're talking about for the remainder of the season. We're talking about guys that can fill in if something was to happen to Alvin. Alvin coming back would, help the situation. We're looking at guys that can come in, that can give you sparks, that can give you production in the absence of your all-pro running back. That's what I'm saying. Now, I'm not talking about guys that's going to lead the league in rushing. I'm not talking about guys that's going to lead the league in receiving yards at the running back position. I'm talking about guys that can steady the ship. Okay, the captain say, man, let me go out here and walk the deck. Okay, I need you to control this wheel real quick. Just keep us, steady as she goes. That's what we're talking about here. We're not talking about an entire season. At least I hope not. I don't see any situation in which a healthy Jarvis Landry does not help the New Orleans Saints or any team for that matter. We can afford him. It's just a matter of both parties agreeing. Jerry, look, like I said, he can help, but it's not necessary. It's not. It's not necessary. It's not necessary for Jarvis Landry to be a part of the New Orleans Saints. If they get him, it would be great. But I'm just saying, if the Saints were to roll into the season right now with the wide receiver group that they have, I think that they'll be extremely productive. I don't think it's not like Jarvis Landry going to get 10, 11 touchdowns and 1,300 yards or something like that at the number 3 position. I just don't see that unless like Michael Thomas, Chris Olave, both of those guys end up getting hurt and missing some time. I don't see a guy like that coming in giving you that type of production. Once again, I just think that we fall in love with these LSU players and we just want these guys to be a part of the Saints. And we just look at these guys like, oh, they're just diamonds. And we're so upset at all of the years when Sean Payton was the head coach. We never got opportunity to get these LSU Tiger players. We seen these guys play every single Saturday, and it's a shame that they never came to the New Orleans Saints. But now it seems like the Saints are opening their doors for guys that are great LSU players. So let's go ahead and open up the floodgates. We would not be having this conversation, in my humble opinion, and I don't think people would be so passionate about this if this dude didn't go to LSU. I mean, that's just the way that I look at it. I feel like that is one of the main reasons. The whole Tyrann Mathieu sweepstakes, everybody was upset about, the Saints bringing them to the facility, not signing them. I even did a show on that, asking the question, why don't they sign LSU players? We've all, have this emotional investment in LSU players. And we all want those guys when they're on the street to become members of the Saints more times than not. You still got people that's hitting up my inbox talking about Quan Alexander. You still got people out here talking about Odell. It's the LSU aspect of it. I mean, Jarvis Landry is a good receiver, but I just think that it is the cherry on top that, you know, he's a guy that went to LSU. I mean, because if you look at it this way, why aren't we having this same type of talk about Julio Jones? I mean, Julio Jones, when you say that Julio Jones is better than Jarvis, but you'll say, oh, you know what I'm saying? Julio always hurt. Well, Jarvis been hurt, right? But why aren't we saying, well, if Julio was healthy, you telling me a healthy Julio can't be a solid number 3? Well, I think Julio would be a better number 3 than Jarvis would be, wouldn't you think? Based on his production, based on his career. But we ain't talking about him, right? Why? I mean, both guys have been dealing with injuries. Both of these guys have been in and out of lineup. Both of these guys' production and some of their best days have been behind them over the last couple of years. So why weren't we having this same type of conversation? It's because of the LSU aspect of it. It's just as simple as that. Stroll up a little bit. Do you see us addressing a tight end position, or will we just roll with what we got? I look. I think that the Saints are probably going to roll what they got chosen. There's not too many big time tight ends out there that you can get your hands on. I just think that the Saints need these tight ends to step up, and I think they're willing to give these guys the opportunity. I mean, you're investing money in Nick Vernett last season. I expect for them to try to get more bang for their buck. I expect for them to try to, see what he has. I'm not out on Adam Troutman. I mean, this was his first year fully as a starter, coming from a small school like Davidson. I expect for this dude to try to step up. And my bad, Dayton. He came from Dayton. I expect for this guy to develop. I just think that we are so quick to throw guys away when they're not giving us these instant moments. We have to keep in mind that a guy like this came from a smaller school. His first year was a COVID year. He wasn't out there. They wasn't having OTAs or mini camp. So his rookie season, they really didn't do too much of anything. You can really say truly probably his last season was his rookie year. That was when he got like the full-fledged NFL experience. So I'm not willing to give up on this guy. I seen this guy perform extremely well in a game versus the Philadelphia Eagles until he messed up his MCL. That probably was his best game in the Saints uniform. And the best part about that, and I don't think members of the Who Dat Nation are really paying attention to it, Adam Troutman responded after many members of the Who Dat Nation were criticizing him in the way that he was playing a tight end position. And that next week against the Philadelphia Eagles, even though the Saints lost, I think he was the best offensive weapon on that field that game. So that tells me right there that this guy takes a lot of pride in trying to become better. So I'm not willing to give up on this dude just yet. Everybody likes to quit on a guy after year 1 or year 2, especially if they're drafted, because, oh, man, we drafted this dude. He ain't giving us what we want. Everybody is not going to come out the starting blocks with a burst of energy, okay, leading the pack. Sometimes it takes guys a little bit of time in order for them to develop and become those pros that we want them to be. I'm not willing to give up on this guy just yet. I'm not. I can't. I don't think that this dude has given us everything that he has that he has just yet. I'm not giving up on him yet. Jarvis is 29. Who cares? Who cares? Who cares? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care. You could talk about him being 29 all day, every day, but that doesn't matter. That doesn't mean that he's still better than Julio Jones. I mean, he's not. If you ask me, okay, if you're asking me, both of these guys are healthy, would I take a 33-year-old Julio Jones or a 29-year-old Jarvis Landry to be my number 3 receiver? I'm going with Julio Jones. I mean, period. Like, you have to be completely insane if both of these guys are healthy and we're talking about the number 3 position. You got to be completely insane for you to pick Jarvis Landry over Julio Jones. I wouldn't. I don't care what school he went to. Julio Jones is better than Jarvis Landry. Anybody that thinks that Julio Jones is not better than Jarvis Landry, and I'm talking hypotheticals, and I feel like that's only right because we're talking about, well, if Jarvis was healthy, well, if Julio was healthy, you're telling me you want to take Julio, a healthy Julio Jones, over a healthy Jarvis Landry, and all he has to do is play in a slot and move the chain for first downs and give you production. Who you think gonna give you more production? Seriously. I'm rolling with Julio all day and night. I don't care how old he is. If we're talking about two healthy guys, I mean, look, I would not take Jarvis Landry over Julio Jones. They both were healthy, and I don't care what he is. And we're talking about 1 or 2 years, right? So do I think that a healthy 33-year-old Julio Jones can move the chains at the third wide receiver spot? Absolutely. TJ, you didn't read the second super chat I just sent about Sony. It was about his reasoning for choosing Miami. Nah, I didn't. I got to scroll back up. Let me scroll back up, man. I probably did miss some super chats because in the I don't look at I don't look at the screen. I look at the camera. So let me see. You said, thank you for the $5, by the way. It said TJ Sony going to Miami as a head scratcher. Miami was terrible on the ground, and he signed a veteran minimum deal in a crowded backfield. Make it make sense. I'm pretty sure he probably looked at it from a salary standpoint. Look, Sony Michel is a Super Bowl champion. When you're a Super Bowl champion, a lot of these guys feel like, well, they pretty much solidified their career. If you're not going to go out here and you're not going to be one of these all-time great running backs, you might as well go out here, live where you want, play for who you want, get the contract what you want. Might as well go play for the Jets if they can offer you, enough money. I mean, that's just the way that it goes sometimes. So I think that had a lot to do with it. I mean, you get opportunity to go from LA to Miami. You already won a Super Bowl and you can make some money and live in Miami. Why not? Look, everything isn't always about winning, folks. I mean, I know we like to think that, but honestly, you think that Sheldon Rankins, as much as we like Sheldon Rankins, you think Sheldon Rankins is going to go from a team that has won 4 straight NFC South titles in the playoffs almost every year that you've been there, and you're going to lead that team to go to the Jets because you feel like the Jets give you a better chance to win than the Saints? Everything ain't always about, wins and losses, folks. Sometimes it's about business. These guys want to make as much money as they possibly can. They want to be in really good situations. They want really good living arrangements. I mean, come on, man. That's just the way that it goes. Julio would be way more expensive. Well, I don't think so. Not based on like him already being out there on the street, number one. His injury history, that would be another. Honestly, I feel like you probably would have to pay more for a guy like Jarvis than you would about a guy like Julio right now, because Julio has been doing it for a longer period of time, right? He is 33 years old. I'm looking at it from an NFL standpoint. The only thing I'm saying is hypothetical. My hypothetical reasoning is, okay, who would I rather get? Being healthy, I would choose Julio, but Jarvis being young and younger than Julio, I feel like somebody will probably look at him before they look at a guy like Julio. But Julio is better. Simon Martavius Bryant, that shit been sale. Cruel sounds like a tight end. Yeah, the tight end for Pittsburgh. Yeah. What up, TJ? How you feel about Cesar Ruiz? I think Cesar Ruiz needs to step his game up. I'm very disappointed in how he's been playing over the last couple of years. And hopefully this third season he'll become better. There's no excuses anymore. If I'm the New Orleans Saints, I'm bringing in another offensive line to compete with him. And if he's not all that, then I would say that you need to trade him or move on from him, because the way that he has been playing is as if he just learned how to play the offensive line position. That's not a good thing, especially when you're a first-round draft pick. Troutman just needs to focus on blocking. No, Troutman is a really good pass-catching tight end too. Once again, this dude has only been in the league. This would be his third season. Like, we expect these dudes to get off the bus and just be all pros. Like, I don't understand that. Like I don't understand like why we just expect these guys to just be overnight sensations or whatever. I mean, I don't think that just because these guys are not overnight sensations mean that they don't have what it takes to play in the National Football League. Like, I don't believe that, man. I believe guys need to develop. I believe that guys need to learn how to be pros. Everybody is not going to be wired like a Alvin, like a Michael Thomas. Sometimes guys need time to develop. And I'm just not giving up on this dude. I'm not giving up on this dude. I'm not saying that the dude can't be a pass catching tight end. I'm not saying that he can't block really well. I'm saying that this dude has what it takes to be a really solid tight end. And I just think that we just need to give him some time, need to have some freaking patience. I think sometimes we don't have patience as Saints fans for cornerbacks, for linebackers, from defensive ends. Like, we're so quick to call these guys failures and failed projects. But when you look at it, like, these guys have only been in the league like 1 and 2 years. Like, I don't get it. Everybody is not a first round draft pick. And sometimes it takes guys a little bit longer to get on. Julio Jones would be a good number 3 for the Saints, even at age 33. TJ, you didn't already read that one. If Julio is a better option than Jarvis at this point, why aren't teams going after him? Because teams are definitely showing interest in Jarvis, including the team that let Julio walk for the Titans. I like what you did there, because the reason why they're not going after him is because of the same reason why Jarvis Landry is out there on the street, because of injuries. You don't think if Jarvis Landry, like, honestly, you don't think that Julio Jones didn't have issues with hamstring and injuries over the last couple of years, you don't think he would have been signed to a team? You crazy. All this has absolutely nothing. I mean, all this has everything to do with injuries, right? You know what I'm saying? So, and then I like how we like to spin things. And if you're going to spin things, make sure that you're spinning it in the right direction. I say hypothetically, if both of these guys were healthy, if Julio was healthy, if Jarvis was healthy, which one would you choose? You would choose Julio over Jarvis. Well, let me not put words in your mouth. Majority, myself, you know what I'm saying, would possibly choose Julio over Jarvis. I'm talking about if both of these guys were healthy, ready, willing to rock and roll. Julio Jones would not be on the street. Julio Jones, with his skill set, his ability, his capability, he would not be on the street right now. Julio is on the street because of his history over the last few years of being injured. It has absolutely nothing to do with anything else other than that. And Jarvis Landry, Jarvis Landry has had knee injuries. He isn't the fastest guy in the world. He's not going to take the top off the defense. He's a really good route runner. He's fundamentally sound, but teams feel like they can get a skill set that Jarvis Landry possesses from a younger receiver. So why wouldn't you? You can get that same type of production in the draft. And I ain't got to worry about giving this guy the veteran minimum and a possibility of him getting hurt. All I'm saying is, if Julio was healthy at age 33, the dude would have a job. He definitely would have a job. There's not a doubt in my mind that if Julio Jones was healthy, he would be off the street. He would be off the street, in my opinion, before Jarvis would. TJ, do you think we resign CD Deuce before the season? Yeah, I think we should. I mean, based on the salary cap right now, with the guy like they $19 million over the cap. So yeah, why not sign him? I mean, sign him. I would. Julio can run the route tree. What are you saying, Flash? Let's see. Of course, I choose Miami, at least down there. I won't have to put up with I be ripping them crazy fart jokes. Sony Michelle. Brandon Reese says, I think Jarvis wants a big time contract like those other wide receivers. I just don't see it happening. I don't see it either. I think that Jarvis is delusional if he think he's getting money like Stephon Diggs, or he's getting money like some of these other top receivers out there, because Jarvis Landry is not a top receiver. He's not. He's not a top receiver. Jarvis Landry will not walk on anybody's team at this stage of his career and be a number one receiver. I mean, I don't see number one receiver from Jarvis Landry. I see a productive receiver, but I don't see a number one receiver when I look at Jarvis Landry. I don't. Saints should sign Julio and extend CJ Gardner-Johnson's contract. I think you're going to re-sign CJ Gardner-Johnson. Look, I know the Saints don't have a history of signing safeties, but this guy is a nickel slash safety. To me, he is the heart and soul, or one of the hearts and souls of that defense. And I just think that the energy that he brings every single week, I think that it's infectious. And he wants to be here. You know, he wants to be with the Saints. He rides with the Saints. He's a loyal guy. And you know, guys like him don't come around all the time. You know, he's like a throwback player right there. He's a guy that he stays on your team. He might end up having his number like hung in the rafters, or his name hung in the rafters, you know, because of how tough and how physical he is. You know, to me, he is the New Orleans Saints Brian Dawkins. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't saying he is Brian Dawkins as far as like playing ability, but he is. You know what I'm saying? How Brian Dawkins was the heart and soul, and he was that energy, and people, you know, called him Weapon X, and he was that guy, you know. And I think that, you know, CJ Gardner-Johnson is that guy. I mean, I said this, like, I foreshadowed this early in his career. I said, man, he's the type of guy that eventually gonna have a C on his chest. I mean, he doesn't have a C on his chest, but when you look at the pregame huddles, who's the one that's hyping the team up? It's CD Deuce. So I think the Saints will have to be insane. And you look at Dennis Allen, he talks about how he wants certain guys to kind of mirror his personality, and he wants physical guys. I think that CD Deuce is the embodiment of what Dennis Allen wants his New Orleans Saints to look like. I think that if you're building a team from the ground up, you want a guy like CD Deuce, and you want guys with the personality of a CD Deuce. I don't think that is fake. I don't think that is phony. I don't think that is something that he's just trying to do to try to get people to like him. I think that he is who he is. He marches to the beat of his own drum. And just off that alone, I'll give him a contract. And not to mention, like, he's a hell of a football player and he's smart. You know, so yeah, I definitely would sign him. Like, CD Deuce to me, and I mean this with no disrespect to anybody on the Saints team, but CD Deuce is the most necessary signing that the New Orleans Saints could make. He's the most necessary signing. Like, to me, he's more necessary than, I say, at least 95% of the New Orleans Saints. At least. Like, I would put him over some of these top names that you have out here, you know what I'm saying, and want to be re-signed. Like, I feel like he that necessary for the New Orleans Saints. He mean that much. He mean that much to the New Orleans Saints. Jarvis was amazing to have in Cleveland. He's an amazing leader and player. Well, Saints got plenty of amazing leaders and players. I hope Jarvis signs with the Ravens and prove all the haters wrong. I'll admit, I hope he does too, because that will fit his skill set. You know, those short intermediate routes that Lamar Jackson throws. You know, Lamar Jackson isn't really airing it out like that. You know, that RPO game. I think that Jarvis would be a good fit. I think that'd be a good fit for him being in Baltimore, to be honest. They also call Julio washed up and don't want him. But if Saints signed him and produced very well, they'll want to be calling him washed up again. Look, I don't think that Julio is washed. I just think that the injury bug has caught up with him. Look, I just feel like when it comes to wash, I have a different perspective, right? I think a wash is like you played the game for so long, you know, the game has caught up with you. You know what I'm saying? You used to be able to run down the field, and then all of a sudden, like, you start to get older, you start to slow down. When injuries are involved, I can't say that you're washed. Okay. I don't think that, because I feel like the guys are putting the necessary work into place to become good, to become successful, but it's just those injuries. So I don't think that, you know, if you take the injuries away, there'll still be a high caliber player. So I can't call a guy washed. I can't. Like, I feel like when you're washed is when you're playing years and years in the league, and then all of a sudden, I don't know, you're wide open and you drop passes, you know what I'm saying? You're missing blocks, and you know what I'm saying? It seems like everything just started to slow, starting to be a little bit too fast for you. But I just think that he's just a guy that's had a little bit of bad luck over the years. So I can't say that about that guy. TJ, we have dogs at every level, I believe. I agree with that. Just imagine Thomas, Olave, and Julio, man. That would be crazy. Dennis Allen said smart, physical, and discipline. Yeah. And that's what CJ is. He is smart, physical, and disciplined. TJ, I'm nervous because we don't have a track record of signing safeties. Look, I'm not really confident in the Saints' ability to sign safeties, but I'm 99.9% sure that the New Orleans Saints are going to sign CJ Gardner-Johnson. Like, that would be insane if they didn't. Like, seriously. Like, I think that the dude is necessary. Like, to me, if you think about all of the safeties, think about this. Think about all the safeties that the Saints have had an opportunity to re-sign. All right, let's go back to let's start with Malcolm Jenkins. Malcolm Jenkins was not the Malcolm Jenkins he was this time around with Philadelphia. Saints fans felt like Malcolm Jenkins had a lot. It was a lot to be desired when it came to Malcolm Jenkins. Couldn't really tackle. Wasn't very physical. Like a little bit soft, if you will. It wasn't until you went to Philly, I feel like he learned how to be that veteran and became that defensive presence that he needed to be that solid tackler, to be that Iron Man. He wasn't there with the Saints. Let's look at Kenny Vaccaro. Saints drafted him in the first round. Kenny Vaccaro, first year, he was like, man, this dude was physical. He was kind of the same way CJ Gardner-Johnson is all the time. I mean, it was so much that you had guys like Pierre Thomas and Sproles and stuff like that getting mad at Kenny Vaccaro about how physical he was in practice. And we enjoyed that. But as time went on, he started to miss assignments. He became a defensive liability. He was bad in coverage. So, it gave him grounds to let him go. Let's look at Marcus Williams. Marcus Williams probably was, as far as a very young career, better than both of those guys to me. Okay, very good ball hawk, very instinctive, but at the same time, he catch interceptions, but wasn't really that good of a sound tackler. Wasn't a guy that took over a game. Wasn't a guy that just all over the field. CJ Gardner-Johnson, from start to finish, his entire career, from his rookie season with the Saints to now, he has been a guy that has taken over games. I can think of several games that I feel like the Saints wouldn't have been as effective defensively if CJ Gardner-Johnson was there. I remember that game versus the San Francisco 49ers when he was all over the field. I remember the game versus Chicago Bears, not just because Mims hit him in the face, or Mims hit him in the face. He was all over the field there. The guy's physical presence, his ability to make tackles, his ability to get into the head of the receivers, his ability to not only to make sound tackles, but to be able to cover as well. He checks all those boxes. To me, he is the most physical safety the Saints ever had, coming into, I guess you can go back to Sammy Knight maybe, but he is, to me, out of all those guys I named, the Vaccaros, the Williams, the Malcolm Jenkins, I feel like he is, at this stage of his career, better than those guys were at this stage of their career. And that includes Marcus Williams, who just got a big contract, which he deserves. But I said this before, if it came down to Marcus Williams and CJ Gardner-Johnson, I'll choose CJ Gardner-Johnson over Marcus Williams. And I think that's what it came down to me. I think that Marcus Williams is good, but CJ Gardner-Johnson, to me, he is the culture. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's like a rapper, right, that's really talented. And then you have Jay-Z, right? Jay-Z is a representative of culture. You have guys like Da Baby, Lil Baby, and all them other rappers. They just in the culture. They for the culture. But CD Deuce is the culture. He is the Saints culture. He is the guy that He is the guy that makes us love this team as much as we do. He is the embodiment of what this New Orleans Saints team is all about. I don't think you'll have that type of energy in his absence. And this is the thing. If CJ Gardner-Johnson was to go to another team, if he was to sign with another team, like let's just say if he was to go to Detroit, I feel like the Detroit defense would have more swagger. If he was to go to the Chargers, I feel like the Chargers defense will have more swagger. The dude is like he's like the straw that stirs the drink. He makes this team more likable and more physical. Dennis Allen being the defensive guy, I bet he getting it about importance of CJ. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he is. I'm pretty sure that he will, man. Let's see. I'm gonna take a few more and then we're gonna go ahead and get up out of here. In my agreement with TJ, it's not a need to sign Jarvis. Why take away from the wide receivers we have now that actually is showing worth? Callaway, I guess you mean Hardy, Smith, Humphrey, etc. Don't sleep on the wide receiver room. I think this wide receiver room needed some help and they got it. And I just think that because of the third and fourth quarters that we saw, we just think that the whole room needs an overhaul. I don't think that. I just think that they were missing Michael Thomas and they needed another piece, and that's what they got. 59 views, only 24 likes. What are you doing? Who That Nation? Don't spectate. Show your support for the State of the Saints podcast. Yeah, man. Look, if you like the show, go ahead and hit that thumbs up. Please, I really would appreciate that. If you enjoy the content, if you enjoy the show, please go ahead and hit that thumbs up. That shows how great that 2017 draft class was for us because all those guys got big contracts. Yep. Roman got chased down by Sam Bradford. Harper had a good run. Yeah, I mean Roman Harper was good too. He was smart. You know, he was a smart football player. But if we talk about keeping Roman Harper all those years, you definitely got to keep a guy like CJ Gardner-Johnson. I'm going to stroll back up a little bit. I know I missed a few. I remember when Undisputed had a segment calling James Harden washed on that Friday, and then that weekend he had 30 points, and by Monday, James Harden was magically back. That's television. That's television, man. That's television. You know, that's what it's all about. You know, there's highs and lows. That's why I don't buy anything those guys talk about. I mean, I don't know. I feel like those guys will sell their mama for a paycheck. Scroll back up. Thank y'all for being here. I really appreciate that, man. Shouts out to everybody here. They're also calling Julio Jones washed up and don't want him. I think I already read a couple of these already. I'll try to make sure I ain't miss any. But yeah, man, my final thought before we get up out of here is very simple. The New Orleans Saints don't need Jarvis Landry, in my opinion. I think that they're good without him. I think that they have the talent that it takes to make this offense better. I think that Jameis Winston being back, along with Michael Thomas and Chris Olave, is going to make this offense better. I understand how people may feel about what they saw last season. Feel like we need everything, need the whole room to be restructured. But I don't think it's necessary. Look, I think that these guys have been in this system for a long time. There's a reason why the New Orleans Saints don't really go out here and get wide receivers in the middle of the season because of the complexity of their offense. And when you have guys that have been with this team 2 and 3 years, I think that it's a plus because now you have guys out there playing fast. We hear about this all the time about the way the Saints play offense and all these personnel changes they've had. It's going to be tough for anybody to come in and be able to give you that sound production right away. Chris Olave, being a rookie, I think that he is probably going to have a little bit of a struggle. He's probably going to be good, but it's probably going to take him a couple weeks for him to develop. I think that you have guys that have been here 5 and 4 and 3 years, and you look at a guy like Callaway who played mostly number one receiver last season. I think that's going to pay dividends for him. I think that you look at guys like Deontay Harris, who's had some passes deep down the field. He's made some plays. I think that's going to build up his confidence now that Jameis is back. Traquan Smith, I don't know about him exactly, but you know that you got yourself a solid blocker. And Michael Thomas and Chris Olave being there, I don't think that the pressure is on Traquan Smith as much. I think that Traquan Smith is one of those guys, maybe when pressure is on him, he doesn't react. But when he just one of the guys, I think that he can step up and make plays. So I don't think that this room is as bad as people are making it out to be. I'm more focused on the running back position and what the Saints need to do with that, because I'm very concerned if something was to happen to Alvin Kamara, who is going to be able to step up. Mark Ingram is a really good running back, but he's on the other side of 30. And no matter how many interviews he talks about how great he feels and how he used to share the backfield with so many people, so he still had tread on the tires. I mean, still, man, you have had a lot of shots, to the shoulder, to the leg, injuries. You had calf injuries, you had knee injuries, and those things catch up with you. So you definitely going to need a young buck to go alongside with Mark Ingram to give you some level of production if Alvin Kamara is out. But I want to say thank you all for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Really do appreciate it. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com, search The State of the Saints podcast. Also, facebook.com, search The State of the Saints podcast. Previous episodes available on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor FM, and part of the Pigskin Podcast Network. And we're also brought to you by manscaped.com. Use the promo code State of Saints. You will save 20% off of your purchase. Once again, that promo code is State of Saints. Till next time, all I got to say is, who dat?